All right, it is the evening weather briefing for Tuesday, the last day of September, and this is the evening edition. I am Josh Brown. I hope that you all had a great Tuesday, and as we're closing out our day here, we do have some coastal showers out there along the east coast of the state of Florida, which I'll have more details as we check the radar here in just 1 second. But the other big story, of course, is the two named storms out in the Atlantic, and that is both the Imelda and Humberto. And also, the other second big story is that we're expecting some increasing moisture coming in from the Gulf that could bring yet a very unsettled pattern for our state as we head into late week and perhaps lingering into the upcoming first weekend of October. So I'll have more details about that in the latest timing here in just a little bit. But let's go ahead and get to the radar and see who's seeing some of these coastal showers. Here we are as we're closing out our month of September. And it's basically right along the coast of Brevard County, as you can see here on radar as we go in for a closer view. And this is affecting areas like Melbourne, right over here towards Satellite Beach, and that stretches over here down towards the coast of A1A near Floridana Beach and Evans Pines. And it seems that these coastal showers are moving from a northerly to a southerly direction, we'll say at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. So they're moving at a bit of a quick pace. And it seems that these showers along the coastline should continue for a little bit longer, but they should be fading out by midnight or so. So just do keep that in mind if you do have some plans this evening around the A1A area between again from Satellite Beach down towards Floridana and the Sebastian areas. And we also have some more coastal showers up here too. Excuse me, just to the north up in Volusia County, affecting the Daytona Beach area as we're going for a closer view too. And this is not just for the Daytona area, but also there's some more showers affecting areas like South Daytona, Daytona Beach Shores, Lakeside Village, over towards Interstate 95. We'll say near the Dunn Avenue um, exit, if that's the case here. And of course, also run over here towards the International Speedway Boulevard exit where these showers are at. And we also have a few more showers a little south over here near Samsula, over here towards Ardisia Park, if I said that name correctly. And that goes for the same thing for Limestone Ranch, Edgewater Junction, Islesboro, and Ponce Inlet. And we have a few more showers also down over here towards the Brevard County line, but still in Volusia, just west of I-95 on top of, we'll say, Maytown Road in the community of Maytown. It's a pretty small town there, as you can see, in southern Volusia County. And also along Highway 1, just to the south of Oak Hill. And if you look over here, just to the west of the East Coast, that is, we do have a few showers over here in parts of western Lake County around Highway 19 towards Groveland, Mascot, Highway 50, Highway 33. Those areas there, and the same for Sloan's Ridge. And again, if I played the loop here, it seems these showers are moving in the same direction like it is for the coastal areas east you go, and that is from due north to south at about 40 to 45 miles an hour. But besides the coastal activity here along the coast of Volusia and Brevard counties, it seems that the rest of our area, most of our area that is inland, is looking pretty quiet. Yet, as we're closing out our month of September, so we'll get back to the radar here pretty shortly. But let's go ahead and switch over to the tropics because again, that's the other big story that we've been telling you guys about here over the last couple of days. As we switch over to the clean version of the satellite picture, that is, and turn on also the tracks of the named storms. Again, that's Imelda and Humberto, or Humberto rather. So let's talk about Imelda first, and it looks like it's now a Cat 1 hurricane, as you can see here on the latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center, as this continues to pull away, or push away rather, from the east coast of the state. So according to the latest advisory from the Hurricane Center, we have winds starting to pick up as high as 85 miles an hour, and it's moving yet due quickly to the east-northeast at about 12 with a 978 millibar pressure low. And it looks like it will stay as a Cat 1 through about the least next several hours, but it won't be until by tomorrow that this storm could upgrade to as high as a Cat 2. Uh, and that's at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And it looks like Bermuda could be in the path of this storm, so hope these folks are prepared ahead of Imelda, as that storm could become a bit stronger. So it looks like it will stay as a Cat 2 between tomorrow afternoon and also heading into the first half of the day on Wednesday, and then later week into a Cat 1 as it moves into the cooler waters of the Atlantic as it turns into a northeasterly direction by late week, and then finally down into a tropical storm. Yeah, my computer's kind of a little slow this evening, so please bear with me. I don't know what's going on here. But anyway, so let's go ahead and talk about Humberto, and it looks like it's still a pretty nasty storm. But as you can see here on the latest track here, it is not a major hurricane anymore, but it's now just a Cat 1, so it's a weaker hurricane with winds now estimating here at about 80 miles an hour, and it's moving yet due north quickly at about 17 miles an hour, and it looks like the eye of the storm will start to make a right turn to the north, to the east and northeast pretty soon, and it looks like it should be able to downgrade to a tropical storm by tomorrow evening if that's the case. Yep. Again, as it enters into the North Atlantic cooler waters. But of course, the big concern over here towards the east coast of the state of Florida over the last few days with Imelda was the significant rip currents, and it looks like it should start to go down a little bit heading into the day on Wednesday, but the risk is still there. So don't let your guards down. But the rip currents will start to pick up heading into the day on Thursday, Friday, and possibly into the weekend, but it may not be related to Imelda, and it's mostly related to that moisture coming in from the Gulf that will start to increase the storm chances. So that's why. And it's not just for the East Coast, but the West Coast. We'll see the fill effects of the rip currents related to it as we head into late week 2, which I'll have more details about that in just a few moments. But elsewhere across the tropics, things are quiet right now with no formations expected in the next 5 to 7 days. And the same goes for the Gulf and the Caribbean sections. So that's the latest there on the tropics. So let me go ahead and switch back to radar and turn off the tropical icons. So again, here's the radar here one more time. And like I said before, there are some coastal showers again happening right along the coast of Brevard County, as you saw here just a few moments ago. And again, this is between Satellite Beach down farther more south you go towards A1A near Floridana Beach and near the coast of Barefoot Bay or a little east of there. And looks like that batch does extend over here down farther south near Port St. Lucie. And like I said before, these coastal showers will stick around for a little bit longer, but they should be fading out by midnight tonight. And then again, we have more of that activity too here, but not quite as widespread than it is south. But this is in Volusia County. Again, this is affecting places like Pelican Bay, Port Orange, Daytona High Ridge Estates, and then of course more activity here just a little south along the Highway 44 corridor in the South Village area and stretching a little southwest towards 415. But other than that, most of our inland locations across Central Florida are looking quiet out there, with not much rain expected here for the rest of this evening. So again, the better chances for any of the activities as far as the rain goes will stay right along or just offshore from the east coast of the Sunshine State. So there you have it. And let's talk about the rip currents right now. And so far this evening, it is pretty much between about 15 to 20 feet, basically from the coast of St. Johns County down south towards West Palm Beach, where there have been some reports of beach erosion since yesterday. And that goes for the same thing towards the coast of the Carolinas, too. And again, this is all related to now Hurricane Imelda. Again, as it stays with the center of it, of course, staying away from the United States, but pushing even more farther east here in the next couple of days, which again should help lower down the rip currents, especially for the Carolina coastline here in the next couple of days. But yes, not so much here for Florida, as moisture again builds up from the Gulf that continues to keep the risk high, as I mentioned just a few moments ago. But let's take a look at the timing on the rip current forecast heading into the next few days. And it looks like the risk will start to drop a little bit heading into the morning hours of Wednesday, between about 5 to 10 feet. And then it looks like we'll see mostly at about 10 to 15 as far as the waves go heading into the day on Wednesday between late afternoon and evening. So, again, if you have beach plans, again, just be aware that rip currents will still be a significant risk, and along with the rough surfing conditions, too. So, I would avoid just being out on the waters as my recommendation. But the rip currents along the west coast will be fine, though, as far as the progress goes, is what I'm referencing to. So it's basically on the low side. As I mentioned, the rip current risk here for the day on Thursday will start to pick up again. And like I've said, this is not related to Imelda as it pushes away farther out sea. And this is related again to all this moisture coming in from the Gulf and the Caribbean and the parts of the Atlantic. Again, that will fire up the rain chances, but they'll start to pick up the waves even more. And this is actually by Thursday at noon. It shows anywhere from about 15 to 20 feet, not just for the east coast of Florida, but also for the west coast between Tampa up near the coast of Panama City Beach. So, yet, if you're thinking about heading to the beach, not just tomorrow, but heading into the day on Thursday, again, just try to avoid the waters if you can. As my recommendation. And yet, the risk continues to go up heading into the day on Friday. Unfortunately, again, both coasts for the state, and then the same as we head into the day on Saturday. But it looks like the risk will start to drop a little bit on Sunday, between about 5 to 7 feet, which is not too bad. So if you got some beach plans on Sunday, I think it's okay to be out in the waters, but just understand that the risk of rip currents will still be around, but not quite as significant than it'll be for the next couple of days. So that's that. So let's talk temperatures this evening. Here we are at this 8 o'clock hour. And right now, yet, it's looking pretty mild out there. We have temperatures yet currently running in the upper 70s and into the lower 80s here in our area. And you got more of the same thing yet up towards the north across the Mississippi Valley region. But as far as the winds go here related to Imelda for the East Coast, let's check that right now. As far as the progress goes, we have winds picking up as high as 10 to 15 along Interstate 95 between Jacksonville down south into near Brevard counties, while the winds here in our inland locations and westward looks to stay light at about 5 to 10. But as far as the gusty winds go, we have mostly at about 20 to 25 yet along the east side of the state, and that pretty much goes for some of our inland areas between, let's say, from Seminole County down south into Orange and Osceola counties, and much lighter over here towards the west side of the state. So let's go ahead and switch on over to the Hermalder, which does take you through the next 18 hours. And yet, if you're just coming on into this live broadcast, I don't mind if you could share this with your friends, families, followers, etc. And you know my motto, and that is sharing is caring. And before we get to the rest of our update, I'm going to go ahead and share this page to a few other group pages. So just give me just a few more minutes, and we'll move on. Okay. All right. Sorry about that again, everyone. So let's check out the wind forecast heading into the next 18 hours. And yeah, it looks like we'll stay mostly about 10 to 15 along the coastline. That's the eastern side of the state heading into the overnight. And the same as we head into daybreak on your Wednesday. And yet the lights inland looks to stay much lighter at about 5 to 10. And then by noon or so, winds will start to pick up a little bit between 10 to 15, yet between from Duval County down into Brevard, with 5 to 10 yet for other areas. But let's try to switch over to the the reflectivity portion of this model heading into the next 18 hours. And yet, it appears that these coastal showers again will still continue for a bit longer heading into the next several hours. And looks like by 1 o'clock in the morning, it seems those showers will start to extend from Brevard County down south towards the Fort Pierce areas. And it looks like some of that activity should be winding down by daybreak on Wednesday. And then it looks like things should be looking pretty good as far as the weather goes heading into the midday hour with not much rain in sight. But let's switch over to temperatures. So this is the overnight portion of tonight on into daybreak on your Wednesday, and it looks like temperatures may begin off a little bit on the cool side. We're talking pretty much anywhere from the upper 60s and low 70s here for our area, with a little bit of a warm trend down south where temperatures may begin in the mid 70s. So no changes there for those folks. But if you go up here towards Georgia, it seems that temperatures may begin in the lower 60s to start off with on Wednesday, and that includes Atlanta to Macon, Augusta, and perhaps these 60s could extend well over here towards the coastline of Myrtle Beach and Charleston, if that's the case. And then it looks like we'll see temperatures heat up a little bit about around noon or so in the low to mid 80s across the state, and then 70s and lower 80s up north in the valley. Switching gears to the NAM model, which does take you through the next couple of days. Let's get back here to the wind forecast and see how it will progress heading into the next couple of days. And yeah, by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, winds will start to pick up a little bit between 10 to 15. So mostly it'll be breezy at times for the east side of the state and perhaps for portions of Orange County, Lake County, and Volusia counties. And then it seems winds will start to be mostly about 15 to 20, so picking up even more between about 10 or 11 tomorrow night, again from Jacksonville down south into Brevard counties. And these winds coming in from the northeast to the southwest, by the way. And yet, it looks like the winds will still be pretty high heading into the 8 o'clock hour on Thursday morning, again for areas between Jacksonville down into Brevard counties. Again, that's about 15 to 20. And then you got about 5 to 10 mile per hour wind speeds here that will remain for most of the inland locations of central Florida. But look what happens as we head towards 3, 4 o'clock Thursday afternoon. We're talking winds picking up as high as 10 to 15. So it looks like it'll be mostly a breezy day, not just for the East Coast, but also for the rest of the Sunshine State. And that of course, will help temperatures stay a little bit on the cool side, which is a good thing if you're looking for that. And then it looks like by Thursday night and on to early Friday morning, the winds will start to die down a bit before it may start to pick up again on Friday. And that's one of the reasons. And that's the reasons why, because of the breezy conditions and with all that moisture coming in from the Gulf, as I mentioned just a few moments ago, that will again keep our rip current risk and the rough serving conditions pretty rough, not just for the east but for the west coast of Florida, as Thursday, Friday, and Saturday progresses. So again, just be sure to keep those guards up if you're heading to the beach in any of those days. So let's go ahead and switch over to the reflectivity portion of the NAM model, and show what we're expecting as far as rain-wise heading into the next few days. And yet, here's the center of Imelda as we'll continue to again push away from us as it moves off towards the east in the next coming days. So we'll fast forward into your Wednesday afternoon to kick off the month of October. Shows the rain chance to stay low at about 30%. So some of you may see a few quick moving showers, just like we had seen today and yesterday for some spots. But other places just stay mostly dry for the first day of the new month. And it seems that some showers will start to move in from the coastline. That's the Atlantic portion and on towards the east side between 11 or midnight late tomorrow night from St. Augustine down into Volusia and Flagler counties, and perhaps some better chances down here towards the southwest coast of the state, down around Sarasota to near the Fort Myers areas. And it looks like it could be a little bit of a wet night for areas north of Orlando heading into the overnight and into daybreak on Thursday. And this is basically for areas between Orange County and north towards Flagler counties. So it looks like you may need the umbrella before heading out the door first thing that morning. And that could stick around to remain on and off by the afternoon on your Thursday as the rain chances starts to pick up a little bit around 50 to a 60%. And yet any rain that's out there left should be winding down by late evening and into the overnight, late Thursday on into early Friday. Again, for most of us, but some of you may still see a few leftover showers around. And it looks like by 2 in the morning on Friday, it shows, according to the NAM, some heavy rains down here towards the deep southern part, including areas like Fort Lauderdale towards the Miami areas. So it's a bit of a dicey night could be ahead for those folks, yet if that's right. So as far as rain totals go for the next few days, it shows mostly at about 1 to 2 inches along the east side of the state, with some spots maybe a little bit higher than that, like 3 to 4 inches or so. But down here towards Miami and the surrounding areas of Dade County, it shows rainfall estimates for the next few days picking up between 4 to 6 inches. And if that's the case, that could lead to the potential for some minor flooding. So that's something we'll be watching as the couple of days progresses. But the less totals will be mostly along the west side of the state, between about a quarter to a half inch or so in these grayish and greenish colors. But the totals will start to pick up even more with all that rain, continuing as we head into the weekend, which you may see that here in just a moment. So just understand that. So let's talk temperatures heading into the next few days. So fast forwarding into Wednesday afternoon, we'll see temperatures again heating up just around close to average in the upper 70s and into the low for some of you in the mid 80s to kick off the new month of October. So at least won't be as hot than it was over the last several months, especially during the summer season. But there could be some lower 90s in some places, like from near Spring Hill down towards Miami. And that's just like a summer average pattern I'm referencing to. And then you have temperatures up here just to the north, again hovering in the 70s to mid 80s across the Interstate 10 corridor and north towards the valley. Again, that's the forecast high temperatures for Wednesday. And then by 9 o'clock tomorrow night, we'll see temperatures starting to drop a little bit, but still remaining mild in the middle to upper 70s across the area, with perhaps some 70s and low 80s up north. Heading into the overnight, late Wednesday on into early Thursday shows morning low temperatures beginning off a little bit on the warm side. We're talking low to mid 70s, but it looks like there might be an approaching front moving in towards the south as far as South Carolina into eastern Georgia. And if that's right, that could start to turn out to be feeling pretty good if you're looking for some of those temperatures like that, and that is 50s and low 60s. I'm talking, and that is from Augusta farther off towards the east near Charleston and the Myrtle Beach areas. So Jackie weather could be on the way then if you're watching up in East Georgia and along the coastline of South Carolina. And then Thursday afternoon shows temperatures due to those on and off rain chances and the breezy conditions staying a little bit on the cool side. Again, that's mostly in the 70s and lower 80s. And then you got temperatures also hovering in the 70s and lower 80s for highs heading into the day on Thursday for the Mississippi Valley and for the Panhandle side of Florida. Again, as that approaching front moves in from north to south. That's what it looks like. And then as the clock ends at about 2 in the morning on Friday, it shows yet another warm night with potential temperatures low-wise sticking around the low to mid 70s. And then you have some 50s and 60s remaining for potential lows up in the eastern side of Alabama on into pretty much mostly covering the Peach State of Georgia and for portions of South Carolina. So that's the latest there on the NAMs. Let's go ahead and switch over to the GFS, which just take you through the next couple of days. And yet another significantly cooler start could be ahead for Friday morning as temperatures may begin in the 50s and 60s for the Mississippi Valley region. And we're talking, for us, beginning off slightly cool but still mild in the upper 60s and low 70s ahead of that same front as that time frame progresses, I guess you can say. But yet the rain chances are still on the rise heading into the second half of the day on Friday, and I think the better chances for that will be mostly along the east side of the state, from Jacksonville down south towards the Keys region, with the coverage increasing as high as 60 to a 70% coverage. And it looks like with the front moving in towards the valley and as far as south they go towards the Panhandle, that could start to bring some dry air, moving at least moving in from north to south, as you can tell. And of course, checking out the high temperatures on Friday shows mostly staying a little bit on the cool side, but average in the 70s and into the low, and for some spots in the mid 80s, with perhaps some 70s and lower 80s for high temperatures up in the valley as the end of the week approaches. So let's talk Saturday here, October 4th. And yet the rain chances are still on the rise across the state, as we'll keep the coverage again at about 60 to a 70% coverage, thanks to all this increasing moisture coming in from both the Atlantic and the Gulf regions. And that could start to bring some of that moisture into parts of southeastern Georgia and along the coastline of South Carolina, if that's right. But other than that, the rest of the valley and the northwest side of Florida tends to stay fairly quiet as Saturday progresses. And yet, looking at temperatures, it shows will stay mostly the same, like it'll be for the next several days and so far this week. And that is another round of low to mid 80s. And if you go up here towards, we'll say Pensacola to Panama City, Tallahassee, Destin, those areas, it could be a little bit on the warm side, where highs maybe ranging from the not upper 70s, upper 80s, excuse me, to some of you hitting around or close to 90. And then you have some 70s and lower 80s for high temperatures on Saturday for the Mississippi Valley region. And just looking at the lows here for the morning of the 4th shows mostly the cool temperature staying north along I-20 from Jackson, or just north of there, over towards as far as you go towards Atlanta. And that is yet around of upper 50s and low 60s is what you're seeing here. But yet looking to stay warm and pretty mild here to start off the day, with some low to mid 70s here for our neck of the woods. All right, so let's get into the day on Sunday the 5th. And yet still the wet weather pattern continues to be with us here across the state, and some of that moisture again will start to bring some of those increasing rain chances here for the coast of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. So if we have some big plans outdoors this weekend, whether it's on Saturday or Sunday, just have the rain gear handy. But it's not going to rain all day long. It's just hit or miss, but we'll still see pretty good chances as those days progress. And yet still keeping temperatures just average, as always, and that's more in the way of 70s and low to mid 80s is what you're seeing here on the latest trend, the GFS trend, that is. And that could linger heading into Monday of next week, October 6th, as the chances yet stays pretty high at about 70 to an 80% coverage. And you get some of that moisture still trying to build up here towards the lower half of the valley. And that could end up increasing the storm chances, we'll say, at about 50% as that same day also arrives. And yet, not much changes to temperatures to start off next week, as highs will remain yet between the upper 70s and into the low, and for some of you in the mid 80s. And it looks like there could be some lower 90s for highs up in the Big Bend part of the state, up into southern Georgia. It's a little bit on the above average side, you can say. And this is on Tuesday of next week, October 7th, and it seems the rain chances then will start to go down a little bit, we'll say, at about an elevated coverage, and that's around 50%. And some of that moisture will start to drop a little bit southward, so that's one of the reasons why we'll start to, decrease the chances here just a bit, not dramatically. And it looks like temperatures will start to warm up a little bit, so back to close to a summer average pattern, as we could see temperatures range in the upper 80s and low 90s for both central and north Florida. And that can be the same case, too, for the lower half of the Mississippi Valley region. And then this is the middle of next week, October 8th, and it shows the rain chances continue to decrease. So if we do see some rain that day, it appears the chances for that will be mostly right along the east side of the state, from Jacksonville down south towards the Keys region, leaving the west side of the state up in the valley remaining fairly quiet as the, again, moisture continues to drop a bit more southward from north. And yet, with that, temperatures will start to increase yet a little bit above average, and that is pretty much in the way of upper 80s and low 90s across the north side of the state, up in the Mississippi Valley, with temperatures staying around average in the low to mid 80s just south of the Orlando metro. Yet, if this is right, let's check the rainfall totals forecast heading into the next several days. It shows pretty much picking up around pretty much as high as 5 to 7 inches down towards Brevard County and points south into Fort Lauderdale. In total, though, so just understand that, while the rest of the state, like St. Johns County down south towards Osceola, could see rain amounts between 3 to 5 inches, with perhaps less amounts just to the west side of the state up into the Mississippi Valley region. But if we do check the European, let's see what it has to say about that. If we could go to the previous run here, it pretty much shows around a little bit on the left side than it is for the GFS. It pretty much indicates around 2 to 4, perhaps if not up to 5 inches, right along the east side of Florida, with about as high as 10 to 11 inches up here towards near the Macon area in southern Georgia, which is south of Atlanta. Again, this is not in one day. This is in 5 or 7 days away, so please understand that. And it looks like with that much rain we could be expecting here for the southeast, especially mostly here in Florida, we could see some potential for some minor flooding concerns if that's the case too. So we'll be watching that as well. But yeah, just have the rain gear handy with you if you're gonna be out and about this weekend and perhaps heading into the early part of next week. But let's get back to the GFS. And yeah, we'll fast forward here into the day on Thursday, October 9th, and it shows yet the coastal shower coverage continues from Jacksonville, yet down south towards the deep southern part of the state, keeping the chances here at about 40%, leaving the Mississippi Valley and the northern and the west side of the state still looking fairly dry, if that's right. And it looks like we'll keep temperatures yet running a little bit warmer than average in the upper 80s and into the lower 90s. And we could see some of that too also extending up into Interstate 10 and slightly north into Jackson, Mississippi, up into Montgomery in the Valdosta areas. A little bit of a cooling trend for parts of Georgia and South Carolina, where it shows temperatures only getting up as high as the 70s and into the lower 80s. Just looking to see if there's a front moving in around that time frame, but so far, no. All right, now this is on Friday, October 10th, and it looks like there might be a new system coming in from the north to south, and that could bring some quick moving showers and thunderstorms, you can say, for right now for portions of the Mississippi Valley region. And ahead of it, we could see just a few showers around for parts of the northern and eastern side of the state at about, we'll say, 40%. So staying mostly elevated is what the word is. And I do believe that this cold front could come through this time, heading into the 10th from north to south, and that could start to drop temperatures anywhere from the 70s and lower 80s for the east side of Alabama on into northern Florida, Georgia, and portions of South Carolina. And ahead of that, we could see temperatures for central and south Florida, again, remaining average in the middle to upper 80s, to some of you hitting around or close to 90. But let's check the low temperatures here for the morning of the 10th, and it shows yet a significant cool start up here for portions of Georgia and South Carolina, as it shows anywhere from the 50s and low 60s. That'll feel pretty good again, if that's correct. And then you got low temperatures beginning off, yet still mild in the low to mid 70s for both central and southern Florida. And then you have some 60s and low 70s to begin with for portions of Alabama and Mississippi. Alrighty, this is the land of voodoo country, and this takes you into the day on Saturday, October 11th. And it shows most of the inland locations across central Florida staying mostly dry, but there might be some showers along the coastline, and that's the east side of the state, that is, and perhaps the same up around Jacksonville and surrounding areas. And yet, with that new system, could bring yet some increasing rain chances firing up here across Alabama and Georgia. Yet, with that same front moving in, and would you look at that? We're talking about temperatures dropping from the low 90s, upper 80s down into the 60s and low 70s heading into the 11th as it moves in yet from north to south into the valley. But ahead of it, we're talking temperatures yet staying warmer, but average in the 80s and into the lower 90s. And ooh, check this out. This is on Sunday, October 12th, the morning of it, that is. We're talking a, a big significant cool down here for the valley, and we're talking anywhere from the 40s and low 50s to begin with for low temperatures. A little chilly to start off for places like Birmingham, Atlanta, Macon, Augusta, Jackson. I mean, you name it. And it looks like temperatures could get as cool as the 50s and into the lower 60s as the front potentially moves in towards the Panhandle side of the state for Pensacola, Panama City, and Destin. But for here in central and southern Florida, we're talking temperatures beginning off as usual, just in the low to mid 70s ahead of the cold front once again. And then here's the second half of the 12th, and it shows yet just a few showers around, but most places stay mostly dry. The better chances for that will be mostly down here in southern Florida, and perhaps the same up here towards the Panhandle, up into Georgia and South Carolina, as the front again makes its way into close to our direction. And looks like we're going to keep temperatures yet still running a bit warmer than average in the upper 80s and low 90s, covering both central and southern Florida. But if you need some cool temperatures, you'll have to go north because it appears that highs will remain pretty much in a way anyway or anywhere. Can't even talk this evening. Anywhere from the upper 60s and into the lower 70s for now. Yet, if that's right, and perhaps that could be the case too down here as far south you go towards the Panhandle. And if we do check the lows here for the morning of the 13th, which I believe that's Columbus Day, it shows this time not quite as chilly than it may be for the morning of the 12th. So instead of seeing 40s, it looks like temperatures may begin in the 50s and low 60s for Interstate 10 and north towards the valley. And there could be some slim cool temperatures for areas north of Orlando. We're talking basically starting in the upper 60s and low 70s for Marion County up into Duval, with lows in the mid 70s still remaining for central and southern Florida. But weather-wise, heading into the second half of Columbus Day shows maybe some coastal showers, possibly for the east coast of the state, from Volusia down south into the Keys region. We'll say at 40%, leaving the west side of the state up north towards the valley, staying fairly quiet. But it looks like, as far as the temperature pattern goes here for Columbus Days, it shows nothing much as far as the change goes, and we're talking remaining in the 80s and into the lower 90s. So, like I said, if you need some cool temperatures, the best bet will be up north, where temperatures will stay yet in the low to mid 70s for the valley, and perhaps a little bit warmer, but still refreshing in the upper 70s and low 80s for the north side of Florida and for the southern part of Georgia. But as the moisture starts to increase again from the Gulf, that could start to fire up those rain chances here for central and south Florida heading into the 14th. And it seems that the panhandle side of the state up in the valley tends to stay fairly quiet for now. Yet, if this is right, and it looks like we may see temperatures start to drop in the low 80s as the moisture starts to build up again from the south to north. So at least that will help a little bit. But if we look at the lows here for the morning of the 14th, it shows maybe another front moving in from the north to south, and that could bring yet another chilly one with some 40s and 50s in the valley down towards the Panhandle. And it looks like high temperatures behind the other front remains mostly a bit below average in the upper 60s and into the low, if not mid 70s, across the valley. So again, we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But this is Land of Voodoo, so this can well change. And yet, more rain builds in from the north to south, or from south to north, rather, heading into the day on Wednesday, October 15th. And some of that rain can be heavy at times, especially down towards southern Florida in the Keys region, where it shows anywhere from about 2 to 3 inches in one day. But let me check the wind product to see if there's anything interesting to watch along the Gulf side. Nothing impressive here, but we'll be watching, again in the next coming days, perhaps within a week or so. But that can really change by then, since we're 2 weeks out. And as we check the high temperatures on the 15th, yet it shows numbers to continue to drop, thanks to all that rain moving in from the south to north. And that is again upper 70s and low 80s. And we're also talking yet another cooler day with some mid 70s up here towards the Mississippi Valley and low 80s for the Panhandle. And if we look at the lows again for the morning of the 16th, it shows yet another somewhat of a cooler and a chilly start to the day up in the valley, and it shows anywhere from the upper 40s and low 50s, with upper 50s and low 60s for the Panhandle, but not much here for Central Florida, as it shows the lows remaining the same in the low to mid 70s for now. And then last but not least, this is on the second half of the 16th, and it shows yet more rain on the horizon for central and southern Florida. Again, as all this big old moisture builds in again from the south to north, that's along the Gulf and the Atlantic sides. And again, looks like we'll keep temperatures running in the 70s and lower 80s for our state, with highs in the mid 70s in the Mississippi Valley region. So there you pretty much have it there, folks. So what I'm going to do right now is go ahead and sign out of Facebook Live on this Tuesday evening, and I hope to have the next update right back here tomorrow night. And I will also continue as usual by posting more notes and updates on my blog and social media platforms 24/7. In the meantime, please continue to stay safe by taking care of yourselves and each other, and God bless.